So let's try Lele today. So Lele is the step we often use it for kahiko, and our Lele is actually not just a step. We do a stamp. Yeah, so our feet kind of makes that sound with the floor by tapping. Okay, so same as usual. Aiha'a, and move your hips to side, and then make sure your hip is moving properly, only side to side, not forward or the back. Yeah, so always. And then your aiha'a, that your weight is completely on your heel, and then your shoulder rotate back. So it's easy to see if you have your hands use as clip and then put it on your hip bones. Then if your hip is tilting, you can tell by your hands. Yeah, so make sure your hip is straight, your stomach is closed and straight, and then your shoulders completely open, and then your hip is only moving side to side. Okay, so the Lele step. So that's the Lele. We go forward, but we can go back too. So the Lele, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's go back 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are going forward, make sure your feet is flat, and then your heel is always touching the floor as a flat, not from a toe to heel. That becomes this way. That becomes a ku'i step. So that's a different step. Make sure you're stepping flat. Yeah, and then your feet never go inward. It's always straight or a little bit outside. Not too much, little bit. Whatever you're comfortable, straight or a little bit outside. Yeah. Okay. So aiha'a, and then when you go, hip prepared to the left, and then step forward and then shift your weight. And then when you're shifting your weight, make sure it's not going like this. And this time you can tell your stomach is completely bending. It's always there is a distance from the left feet to the right feet. So you have to shift your weight to forward, but your hip is never going forward like this. In this case, your shoulder moves this way. Yeah, so your shoulder always need to be straight, and then that is parallel with the mirror. Yeah, so step forward, shift your weight, and then when you're shifted completely, and then your left feet come up, and then your right feet do a stomp. Yeah, so shift, tap, and then I would usually say shift, and this feet doesn't need to be like here. So the left feet comes a little bit behind of your right feet, and then in this time do a stomp. Yeah, so step, shift completely to the side, not forward, to the side, stomp. Your left feet is a little bit behind the right feet, and then step flat. Yeah, and then shift your weight, and then make sure your hip is on the side, and then right feet come up, stomp. So if you forgot to shift your weight, you will probably do up and down here. 1. Yeah, so you have to shift your hip completely to the other side. In this case, that's the right side, and then stomp. Then you don't need to do up and down. Yeah, so shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp. Yeah, so you can probably tell I am not stepping too forward. Yeah, so the feet distance is maybe just as big as your feet size. Yeah, so if you see it from the side, this way, then step forward, shift, and stomp, step forward, shift and stomp, shift forward. Yeah, so if you step too much, then your hip will start directing a different angle. So that's what we don't want to. So shift little bit is helping. Yeah, so step smaller. Yeah, one more time. Now we're going forward and back. Yeah, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp. Go back, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp. Yeah. So when we are going back, it's impossible to step from your heel. So that's why we are stepping from a toe side. But when you shift it, make sure your feet is completely touches the ground, even the time you're going back. Shift, 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 shift. And this time too, even going forward, so both heels on the floor at the same time, and then shift and stamp. Both heels on the floor, shift, stamp. Both heels on the floor, shift. So do not shift too early, so it causes this. So you see the hips movement a little bit weird. Each, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so hip is moving 2 first. So when your heel to heel are both on the floor, and make sure that, and then shift and stomp. Heel to heel on the floor, start shifting, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp. Going back in the same way, when the both heels on the floor, shift and stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp, shift, stomp. Yeah, so when you are going back, and then your left feet comes a little bit forward of your right feet. Yeah. So with this one, that goes shift, shift. Not too much. Shift, shift. Yeah. One more time. Going forward and back. Step forward, shift. Step forward, shift, and stamp. 3, 4. Goes back. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going back. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going back. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. Make sure your hip only moving side to side. 3, 4. Going back. 1, 2,